Hey, fifth grade. Today we are going to paint some pumpkins inspired by Yayoi Kusama, our awesome artist from Japan who puts dots on everything and loves pumpkins. So we're going to use a small paintbrush because we're going to be drawing with our paintbrush today. That means we're not just like covering the whole paper and getting messy. We are doing this carefully and pretending that our paintbrush is like a pencil that we're going to draw with. So go ahead and pick a color. Your color is going to be the color of your outline. So we're going to be kind of painting backwards today. Instead of drawing our shape and then filling it in, we're going to be leaving spaces for the outline. And I'll show you what that means in a second. So my outline is going to be blue because my paper is blue. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paintbrush and I'm going to decide what I want my main color of my pumpkin to be. So I'm going to get some paint on my brush. I'm not covering it up so it's like all the way up in the middle. It's only a little bit on the bristles. A tidbit on the bristles is all you need. And then we're going to start with our first shape in the middle. Now your paper could go this way if you want. I want mine to go this way. All right, so the first shape we're going to make is the center bump of our pumpkin. So we are going to draw out the shape for the center of our pumpkin by making like a backwards C shape. We want to make it pretty big. And if you run out of paint on your paintbrush, just stop and get some more. Just kind of go back and forth on your line until it's nice and dark enough that you can see it. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. We're going to connect it with a backwards C shape. And this is going to be the first bump of our pumpkin. Now, if you want to be a little bit more different, like some of the pumpkins Yayoi Kusama makes, instead of them being like round, like a regular pumpkin, they will have a bump on it. So if you want to make yours kind of bumpy, you could have this shape instead. So I'm going to go ahead and change mine, make it kind of bumpy instead, because I want to be more like Yayoi. And she has these lumpy pumpkins. All right, once you have the shape that you want, you're going to go ahead and just take a second to fill it in. All right, boys and girls, this is the first bump of our pumpkin. Now what we're going to do is we're going to mirror or kind of copy that same shape for some more bumps on either side. So to do that, this is going to be what's a little bit different. I'm going to push my sleeves up so I don't get paint on myself, and I can get an apron if I need it. I'm going to copy this shape right here, but I'm going to leave a gap where the outline is going to be. So this is why I say we're kind of painting backwards, because we're leaving a gap. So I'm going to mirror that bump that I have. And the trickiest part is going to be trying to make it kind of thin at the bottom. So the lighter you press, the thinner your line will be. You should always be tickling the paper and not pushing down very hard. And then you're going to lift up so you're barely touching the paper at the end to make like a tapered line. All right, do you see how there's a gap? That is perfect. All right, so I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. All right, now that we have our lines mirrored, we're going to make another bump and make another bump of our pumpkin. So it's going to come out, and then it's going to connect to where we started. Get some more. And then you can fill that in. So let's do it again on the other side before I fill it in. So I have my middle bump, and I have a bump next to it on the left and a bump on the right. So we're going to do that one more time on both sides, the same way we did before. We're going to mirror that shape that I made. And again on this side. All right, now that I mirrored it on both sides, I'm going to make another line to turn it into a shape for my last bump on either side. All right, so there is my pumpkin shape. I have my middle bump and my two side bumps on either side. And right now it is symmetrical. That means it's the same on both sides. Very well. And now we're ready to pick another color for our stem. So you're going to clean out your brush by pushing it down and cleaning the bottom of the bucket so it gets the paint off the bristles. Dry your paintbrush off. And I'll just use brown for my stem. So my stem, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap, just like I did before. I'm going to make a curve, and then I'm going to make whatever kind of shape I want for my stem. It could be kind of like a shape like that, or it could be more of a square. I can make it curl if I want to. I'm just going to do like that and fill it in around a little bit. So if I want to make this less see-through or transparent, I'll just take some, put it on my messy mat. I'll clean off my brush really quick so I can grab some white, scoop up a pretty good amount of white, and then mix it in. It'll make a lighter brown, and it'll make it so that you can't see through it as much. It'll be more opaque. So there is my stem. All right, guys, so the last thing we're going to do today is we are going to paint the background. So we want to make this more painterly. So I'm going to start with whatever color I want to start with. Interesting. So just like before, we're going to mirror the shapes, the lines that we used on the edge. So I'm going to mirror the line that I saw with my stem, and I'm going to mirror the edge of my pumpkin. And yellow is the most transparent color. So if this is really transparent, it's actually turning kind of green because it's mixing with the blue underneath. If I like that, I can leave like that. Or just like I did with the brown, I can scoop some out, and then I can steal some white, mix it in, and let's see the difference here. That's a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and keep mirroring the edge. I'm going to go all the way around. All right, so as I mentioned to you guys before, the blue becomes the outline for your pumpkin shape. So now I'm going to go ahead and I can put this paintbrush in the hot tub and get a bigger paintbrush so I can fill in the rest. So I can use yellow for all of it, or I can slowly kind of change colors if I want to. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. All right, guys, I finished covering the rest of my paper with different colors. I decided to change it to do lots of different rainbow colors. You could do it however you want. Just be careful when you're blending your colors on your paper that you don't choose colors that are opposite of each other on the color wheel. Otherwise, they might turn brown. So one last thing you can do while your paint is wet is you can use the back of your paintbrush. And if it's wet, you can kind of draw designs in just to make it more fun. I'm going to do lots of swirls because that's kind of my thing, drawing swirls. But if it's dried, you're not going to be able to see much of it, and that's okay. This is just something extra to add texture to make it more interesting. Okay. Go ahead and stop here and put this on the drying rack. However, if you are finished really early, you can go ahead and start the next step that we are going to start next time, and that is adding a polka dot.